really old. I can't imagine why. Okay, meanwhile, back at the end of the universe, which is, as I remarked earlier today, despite the 7 billion people dying with you, it's a very lonely and personal place. And, in this case, an element of the supernatural, which if we can have the Force in Star Wars, we can have the supernatural in this story, which is called antique shopping. There comes a late November Sunday, even in the upper Midwest, when the world outside is just too beautiful for those of us who live here to stay cooped up inside. Golden sunlight dances through branches bare of all but the most tenacious leaves. Grass bends a bit in a southerly breeze, and birds and fowl halt their migration for a little while. Carol decided we should spend this gift of a day shopping for antiques. She wanted to find just the right occasional chair for our recently remodeled living room, and knew exactly what style of framed mirror would work above her dressing table. Having been married better than 20 years, I left thoughts of Bratz and the Bears unspoken while I found a light jacket and the car keys. Taintsville is a good place to hunt for true antiques at realistic prices. It's an old farming community, by and large, with enough shops on the outskirts to make the search worthwhile without crowding and over-commercializing the process. On a day like this, much of the merchandise would be displayed outside on gently sloping lawns and flagstone walks, so we'd combine a stroll in the sunshine with some very serious shopping. Sometimes Carol would wander from store to store, examining each piece of furniture in great detail and never reaching a decision. Other times, well, have you ever seen a dog pick a person out of a crowd without hesitation, sensing something that promises a perfect match? As far as chairs were concerned, this was one of those quick times. At the second store, she spotted a handcrafted, early 19th century chair tucked away on the corner of the porch. She looked only once at the price tag and asked me if it would fit in the back of the car. I knew I'd have to make it fit because it was coming home with us. On the other hand, the mirror that Carol had in mind wasn't in the third store, nor the fourth, nor the fifth. I'm not sure why she passed on the ones she saw there. Several seemed beautiful to me and perfectly suited to my image of what would fit her needs, both practical and aesthetic. As we approached the last shop, I thought we might be out of luck for the day. "That's it," she exclaimed, and hurried over to a mirror that leaned against a small dresser. I smiled at the child's delight in her voice and her step. She said, "The dimensions are perfect for what I want." She examined the frame from just enough distance to take in its overall design, and satisfied with what she saw, she moved closer for a careful look at the woodwork. A little character-giving distress would be one thing, but major scratches, dents, or warping would be unacceptable. Her fingers ran over the surface, feeling for exceptional roughness, poor polishing, or the falseness of an unoriginal finish. I felt like I was watching a blind person investigate a new face, and she did, in fact, close her eyes from time to time, as if to allow greater focus on touch. When Carol was done looking at the front and the sides, I pulled the mirror away from the dresser so she could give the back an equally thorough going over. Once she was finished, I leaned it back again and stepped away so she could examine the glass. "No chips or scratches in the silvering," she reported. "Come over here and see what you think. I'm guessing there's a very attractive couple in this mirror." I stood next to her, on her left, and looked. What a shame," I told her. "There must be a flaw in the glass itself. I can see me, but I can't see you." She didn't answer immediately, but shifted her weight from one foot to the other and then back, all the while looking intently at the mirror. "That," she finally said, "is strange." "You didn't tell me you had vampire blood in you," I joked. She just said, "Trade places with me." I moved to stand on her right side. "Okay, so the mirror has vampire blood in its family. Now I could see her reflection, but not mine." That is a shame. Do you think we could replace the glass, she asked me. The frame is exactly what I hoped to find. I moved the mirror and examined the back, said, no way. This is the original glass from the look of things. Probably never removed after it was placed. Change the glass and the value of the piece goes right down the crapper. Yeah, she agreed, I guess you're right. She frowned, then looked up at the sky where clouds were starting to bunch up to the west. Let's call it a day and get home before the rain comes. I found the chair, and 50% ain't a bad day's work. We both took one last look at the mirror. Carol shivered, and shivered again even though the air was still pleasantly warm. I told her, it's okay, we'll get you warmed up once the engine does the same thing. I'm not cold, she replied, it's just that mirror. I've never seen anything so weird. How did it do that? I don't know. I'm glad you decided to pass on it, though, because I don't think I'd want it in the house. Sure you don't want the heat on? Nah, she said, but thanks, honey, I'll be okay. We didn't get home before it started raining. The storm built rapidly and caught up to us out on the two-lane Blacktop County Road. Its speed was equaled by its intensity. Driving soon became a challenge, and I remember turning the wipers to their fastest speed and wondering if there was a safe place to pull off the road until the weather passed. I don't remember anything between that and when I woke in the hospital. The doctor said limited amnesia is common in accident victims, especially when there's been either severe emotional distress or head trauma, and I'd suffered from both. What they were telling me, I finally realized, was that I didn't really remember the crash. The things I saw in my mind's eye day and night were just imagined, pictures drawn in great detail by the force of my survivor's guilt. Carol's folks flew into Chicago and rode up here with my parents. The four of them took care of all the arrangements while I was still in an induced coma, and so I missed my wife's wake and cremation. I understand a lot of people came to pay their respects, more than she would ever have realized she could touch with her life. They saved the ashes for me to scatter over the Pacific Ocean she loved so much. And they held me safe, in both body and spirit, until I was ready to rejoin what was left of my world. The area newspapers' accounts of the crash are generally clear. An oncoming pickup drifted into our lane on a curve because its driver was blinded by the rain, just like I was. Accidents happen, and I still don't have it in my heart to hold my loss against him. They're wrong on one point, though. She definitely was wearing her seatbelt. Neither of us would forget that all-important item. The police said it broke loose, allowing her to be thrown from the car. And they all leave out one thing. I would do anything, give everything for her to have been on the left and me on the right. A few years have passed, and with them perhaps 100 Sunday drives along county roads to Taintsville. Sometimes the day is beautiful around my car, and other times the outside world is as gray as the world inside. The mirror is still there, still unsold. And no matter how I stand before it, no matter which side I stand on, despite all my prayers and supplications, I still see my reflection. Thank you.
And Steve, you want to do this thing? Oh. I only took one shot.